Hello, I'm Cath. Welcome back to my channel made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me for this video. So in this video I'm going to be talking about what I've been sewing over the last week or so. And I've got a bit of a variety to share as ever. This week I've been working on a couple of new makes and I'll share with you my progress, how I'm getting on with those. Also this week what I've really enjoyed is getting out a couple of my older makes that I haven't been wearing so much. And I've sort of been doing a wardrobe clear out and trying to figure out what I do reach for a lot and what I don't, and maybe for the things I don't, why I'm not reaching for them. And I'd set aside a couple of garments a few weeks ago thinking I really need to have a look at them and maybe adjust them and make them more wearable. This week I finally got them out and sat down and had a proper good think and made some adjustments. So I'm going to share those garments and talk about how I've altered them in this video too. I actually really enjoyed the process. Once I got started, I was a bit reluctant to get started because there's unpicking involved and that sort of thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed the process of trying to sort of adjust those garments. So I'm going to talk about that in this video too. But as ever, I'll start off with what I'm wearing today. And today here in the south of England is quite an unusual day weather-wise because we've got some snow. It's actually snowing now as I'm filming this video, although it's turned into sort of sleety, rainy snow, so it's not settling anymore. But this morning when I got up, it was all white outside, which was very exciting because we really don't get snow a lot here. My children were very excited. We managed to squeeze in sort of 15 minutes in the garden before school, and they made a really teeny tiny snowman out of the snow we had in the garden. So yeah, it's quite a fun, exciting day here today. The school run was a bit different to usual. It's very wet and slushy snow on the way to school, but it is still quite cold with the snow. So I'm wearing quite a cosy outfit today. And I've actually got a lot of handmade on today. I've got a handmade cardigan and a handmade t-shirt and a handmade skirt. So I'll talk about all three. I'll start off with the cardigan. This is the cardigan that I knitted, I think a couple of years ago now. And it's a lovely cosy cardigan, so I always enjoy reaching for it when the weather is quite chilly. So I made this cardigan using a kit from We Are Knitters, and it was the Hackney cardigan kit. It's funny because I really don't buy sewing kits at all, but I love a knitting kit. I love how the pattern and yarn all come together and you can just get started. And this is one of my favourite We Are Knitters patterns. It's quite a simple, sort of slouchy, relaxed cardigan pattern with a sort of slightly dropped shoulder. You might be able to see the seam line there where the sleeves are attached. So yeah, quite a dropped shoulder. It doesn't have any buttons. It's just designed to be worn open. And what I really love about it is the stitch. I think it's called moss stitch. Yeah, and it's got a lovely texture to it, I think. It really creates a really cosy cardigan, and I love the texture. I'll stand up a bit so you can see how it looks on. And this is my second version of the Hackney cardigan I made. So this version I didn't buy the whole kit because I already had the pattern, I just bought the yarn. And I made it in a We Are Knitters yarn. It's their merino yarn. I can't think what it's called now. Let me have a think. It is the Merry wool. And it's the wool that the Hackney cardigan is designed to be knitted in, so you get this yarn if you buy the kit, but I just bought the balls because it was my second version. So I made two versions in the Merry wool. The first version I made in a mustard colour, and this one is described on the website as navy blue, but I think it's more of like a mid blue or like a maybe like a deep royal blue colour. I think it's a really pretty colour anyway. And the Merry wool is described on the We Are Knitters website as a worsted or Aran weight yarn. But I definitely say it's on the chunky end of that category. It's quite sort of thick, it's lovely and soft and squishy, and it knits up fairly quickly because it is quite chunky. So yeah, this is my second version I made, and I just made a couple of tweaks to the pattern for this version. I think I might have sized up one size to give it a slightly more oversized, relaxed fit. And then I also cropped it off a little bit shorter, just to give it a more boxy look, I guess. So yeah, I really love this cardigan and it's keeping me nice and cosy today. And I'm wearing the cardigan over a t-shirt that I made using one of my favourite t-shirt sewing patterns, and it's definitely my go-to pattern if I'm looking to sew quite a boxy, relaxed fit style t-shirt. And it's this pattern here. It is the Solar Sweater and Tee pattern by Papercut. I've got the old pattern here It used to be called the Kyoto sweater and tee, but they've since rebranded. But I'll show you the line drawings. It's designed to be quite a straight sort of fit t-shirt or sweater with a dropped shoulder. I do love a dropped shoulder. And it's got a lovely feature added in, which is this little ruffle that you can sew into the seam at the top of the sleeve. And that was the sort of reason that originally drew me to the pattern, the ruffle. I thought it was a really pretty detail. But I've actually discovered that I just really like the fit and the shape of the t-shirt as it is. And I made a few versions of the t-shirt with the ruffle, but also without the ruffle. I love it as a basic boxy tee. And I've got a version on without the ruffle today. I'll just take my cardigan off so you can see what it looks like and the fit. As you can see, it's quite loose and relaxed, really nice and comfy. And I find it sews up really well too. And I made my version I'm wearing today in this lovely cotton jersey fabric, which I got from Eliza Mack Fabrics. I think I got it last summer now, and I had a look and it isn't still in stock, but they do have some lovely printed jerseys in stock at the moment, so I'll link the website down below. But I really like the colours in this floral print, this sort of, I guess, shades of grey with some sort of blush pinks in there too. I think, yeah, it's a really cute fabric. But yeah, I'll put my cardigan back on now because it is quite cold here today. So I've got that on, and then I've also got a handmade skirt on, and I'll stand up and show you a bit of my skirt as well. So I made this skirt using this pattern here, which is the moss skirt pattern by Grainline Studio, which is a pattern I really like for quite a simple style winter skirt. So it's designed for woven fabrics, and I think it looks like your sort of classic denim or sort of jeans skirt in its style. It's got the sort of fly front zipper, slash pockets, and at the back it's got a yoke, which I think is really great for shaping there at the back from sort of between your hips up to your waist. And it comes together really nicely. I think I mentioned with Grainline Studio instructions before, they aren't the most wordiest instructions ever, but they're very clear and concise, so I find them really methodical to work through. So you can either make this pattern as a mini skirt or more of a knee-length skirt, and if you want to make the knee-length version, you add on this bottom band, although I guess you could always lengthen the pattern piece if you didn't want to add that sort of feature on. But I quite like that feature, and I added that feature onto my skirt by actually shortened the top part, so my skirt's kind of somewhere between a sort of proper mini skirt and a knee length, I guess, and I quite like that in between length. So this pattern's designed to be made in medium to heavyweight fabrics like denim, and I would love to make a denim version one day. I think that would be quite cute to wear all year round really, but the version I'm wearing today is definitely a wintry one because I made it in this sort of chunky corduroy fabric. I think this came from Minerva. I got it quite a while ago, so I'm not sure if it's still in stock, but if it is, I'll link it below like I will all the fabrics where possible in this video. But yeah, it's quite a nice pretty royal blue coloured corduroy. I'll stand up again so you can see how sort of substantial it is. So yeah, it's quite a chunky corduroy, but not sort of a super chunky one. And I just really like wearing it in winter. I find it really comfy to wear. It's quite a nice, simple, straight fitted skirt, so I find it goes with quite a lot of things. The only adjustment I made to this pattern was I sized down one side because I think it's designed to sit just below the natural waist, and I wanted it to more sit on my natural waist, so I just sized down slightly just to bring it up a little bit, and it sort of then sits a bit higher on me. But I love to wear it often with a chunky jumper, but today I thought I'd try it with a oversized t-shirt and a cardigan, and it works quite well like that, I think. So I'll put up a picture so you can see what this outfit looks like on. I'm kind of going for shades of blue with a little pop of grey and pink, and it's keeping nice and cosy. So that's what I'm wearing today. So I'll move on now to talking about what I've been sewing over the last week or so, and I think I'll start off by talking about one of my alteration projects that I've been working on. And I'm really pleased to have actually finally altered this dress because it is a dress I really love, but whenever I've worn it, it hasn't quite felt comfortable. So it's been nice this week to finally try it on, have a think about how I can make it more comfy for me. So the dress I made using this pattern here, which is quite an old pattern now, I guess. It is the Tilly and the Buttons Zadie dress pattern. It's a jersey dress pattern. It is one of Tilly's older patterns. You can see the sort of older branding on the pattern envelope. It's a really cute one actually. I haven't seen huge amounts of this pattern being made up, but I do really like it. It's a bit different to your average jersey dress, I think. I'll show you the line drawings. So I guess it's kind of like almost a skater style dress in a way. and with lots of paneling on the bodice, which is a bit unusual. So it's got a sort of front panel and side panels to the bodice. And then on the skirt, it's got these pleats to bring it in at the front, and then it goes into fairly full skirt, and it's got pleats on the back as well. And you can either make it as a sort of cap sleeve, short sleeve version, or a version with long sleeves. And I made a couple of versions of this pattern now, or I should mention sizing as well. It is only available in Tilly's old size range, so it only goes from UK 6 up to a UK 20, and the largest size is robust of 44 inches, so it hasn't got the greatest size range ever. But I've made two versions of the Zadie dress pattern. The first version I made is quite a wintry version, which I love. I've got it here to show you. I thought I'd get it out as a bit of context for this make. So this is my first version I made, and it's because of the paneling on the bodice. I think you can have a lot of fun with colour blocking this pattern. I have seen some really lovely colour block versions. So I used a sort of black cotton jersey for the side panels and the sleeves and the back as well on the top. And then for the front panel and the skirt, I used this really cute, I'm not sure if it's a cotton jersey, I'm not sure, I can't remember the blend of this one, but it's this leopard print. I really love the leopard print. So this is my first Zadie I made, and I had a lot of fun with the colour blocking, and I really love wearing this one, even though it's quite an old make. But when I made it, I think I made my size, which was the size 2, the UK 8, and that's designed for bust 32 inches, waist 26 inches, hips 35 inches, and I'm 32, 26, 36, so 1 inch larger on the hips, but I thought I'd go with a straight size 2 because it looked like there was plenty of room in the skirt, because it's sort of gathered in by the pleats, and then it goes out to quite a full skirt. But when I made this up, I found it came out really big on me, and I don't know what happened there, because I generally find the Tilly sizes 2 really fits me quite well on all her patterns, so it might have been some errors I made in sewing it up, because I was fairly new to sewing when I made this one, and I did find it quite a challenging sew. Trying to match up all the different points of the panel pieces and things. I remember finding it quite tricky. But yeah, when I made it up, it just came up really large, and I ended up having to take it in quite a lot at the sides, and it has affected how the panels look a bit. It's not exactly as it's designed to be, because I had to take it in so much, but I still really like it wearing it. But anyway, so when I made that one up, because it was so large, I kind of put the pattern aside for a while. I didn't try it again for a while. And then I thought I'd love to revisit it and make a more summery version, because I did think it's quite a pretty pattern. So I made my second version, which I've got here as well. This is my second version of the pattern, and I made this one in this lovely cotton jersey fabric. I think it was called In the Allotment or something, because it's got all these really cute different flowers on it. I remember it being available in a couple of different colourways, but I love this sort of blue base and these sort of pops of yellow and orange and sort of lilac. I thought it was a really pretty fabric. I think it originally came from Lamazi Fabrics. I don't think it's probably still in stock there, but I'll link their current jersey range down below. But when I made this second version, I thought, because my first version had come out quite large, I thought I'd size down. So I went for the size 1, the UK 6, which is sort of smaller than my measurements, but I thought hopefully I get a better fit than on my first version. So I sewed this one up, and I remember sewing it up on a really hot day, and it was the sewing weekend. It was the first virtual online sewing weekend, and this was my sewing weekender project. So I remember working on it all weekend, having a lot of fun. Then I got to the end and tried it on, and I actually found it fit quite snugly. So it didn't come up how I was expecting, really, because I was expecting it to come up not that snug based on my previous version, which makes me think on my previous version it must have been my sewing. Somehow the sizing didn't come out quite right. But anyway, this version came up quite snug, which was okay around the body, because I felt it fitted me okay around there and it wasn't too tight. But having worn it a bit, I really found it was too tight around the shoulder and underarm area. So it's designed to be cap sleeve. And I felt like because the sleeves were quite tight, they kept sort of popping off my shoulder, because they were sort of having to stretch across my shoulder. And also they were quite tight underneath my arm. And because I was wearing this one in hot weather, I wanted a bit of room there and not to feel that the fabric was sort of sitting too tightly or snugly underneath my armpit, I guess. So although I really loved this dress, whenever I wore it, I felt like I was kind of tweaking it a little bit, and it didn't seem to be quite right. So this week I got it out, I tried it on, and I thought I really need to make those changes to this sort of shoulder area just so it's more comfortable and I really enjoy wearing it this summer. So this is my adjusted Zadie dress, and you can probably see the first thing I did was I pretty much removed the cap sleeve fabric and turned it into sort of a sleeveless style dress, which I think actually suits it really well, and it was a really easy adjustment. I just had to cut off some of the fabric around here, or unpicked. I cut off the fabric around here and then turned it under and re-sewed it under, so it's ended up quite neat. And yeah, that'll just really solve that problem of the cap sleeve sort of stretching across my shoulder. Then the second thing I did was to just scoop out a little bit of fabric in this underarm area too, which is where I felt it was just a little bit too tight and sort of a bit too high. And again, it was quite straightforward. I unpicked the seam again around here, and then just sort of scooped out a bit of extra fabric just to make it sit a little bit lower on both sides. So they were quite straightforward adjustments. They really didn't take too long. It's quite a small area to unpick, thankfully, because I finished all with a zigzag stitch, and I do find it can be a bit fiddly unpicking a zigzag stitch on jersey. So yeah, I'm really happy with the changes. So I'll put up a couple of pictures up. I'll put a picture up firstly of how it looked originally, and then I need to go and get a picture, but I'm going to go and get a picture after this video so I can show you how it looks now. And I'm really happy I made those adjustments. They were more for comfort than anything else, so I think I'll definitely get more wear out of this one this summer, which is great because I think it's such a cute little dress. You can see here, actually you might not be able to see too easily, but you can see here these sort of pleating details at the front. I think they're a really pretty detail. It's got these lovely deep pockets. The pleats at the back again there, you can see them, I think, hopefully. So I think there's some lovely details to this dress. So I'm really looking forward to getting out of this summer and feeling more comfy in it. So that was my first alteration project this week, and it was quite a nice quick one. So before I talk about my other alteration project, I thought I'd mix it up and share with you one of my current new makes that I've been working on this week too. This one is a work in progress because I'm currently waiting for some elastic to arrive so I can finish the waistband. But I am sewing my son another pair of joggers, and I'm using the mini Hudson pants pattern by True Bias, which is my go-to pattern when I'm sewing joggers for my son and daughter. I love the adult Hudson pants patterns for me and my husband, and my children really find the mini version really comfy too. So this is a pair I've got in progress for my son. As you can see, I've gone quite a long way. I've added on the little eyelets so I can put the cord through. He decided to jazz these ones up a little bit. I'm making these to replace a plain black pair that had gone a bit old and started to wear through at the knees. This pair, I asked him if he fancied a bit of trim in green, and he did fancy that, so I thought that's a cute little feature there. I like with the Hudson pants how they've got this little pocket detail. I think it's a really nice feature that you can make them a bit different to your average joggers you get in the shops, I guess. So yeah, these are there at the moment. I haven't put on the bottom cuffs. I'm going to wait for the elastic to arrive. Hopefully that'll arrive soon. I'll put that in and then check out the length on my son when he's wearing them once it's got the elastic in. So yeah, these are in progress. I always think they look a bit funny before you start sort of sewing on the waistband properly. I think that really brings them together once that's all stitched on. So, but yeah, it's been nice, speedy sew. And what I was quite pleased about with these actually is I was able to make them up with scraps I had left over. I had a look through my fabric suitcase. It's got my remnants in, and I had quite a lot of this green French terry, so I could definitely sort of borrow a little bit for these pocket details. And then I actually had a couple of pieces of black French terry. So yes, it's a French terry fabric, a sort of loop back texture you can see. I had a couple of pieces of this fabric, just enough to be able to squeeze out these joggers. So I was quite pleased actually, because I got one piece out and I thought, oh, that's not going to be enough. And then I found another piece and it was just enough. So yeah, they're a nice thrifty make. It's nice not to have to buy some more fabric for this one. And yeah, it'll be nice to finish those off because at the moment, while the weather's still cold, my son is living in these joggers at the weekend. So that is quite a speedy sew I've been working on. Just need that elastic now so I can finish those off and hopefully get a little picture of my son in them, although I'm sure you've seen him in pairs of Hudson pants before. So that was quite a speedy little sewing project that I started this week, and hopefully it shouldn't take me too long to finish those joggers once the elastics arrived. I think because I've made so many pairs of Hudson pants now, both adult and children versions, that I'm kind of motor through the whole sewing process and I don't really need to refer to the instructions generally. So yeah, they come together really nicely, and it'll be nice to have another pair finish. My son, he really likes the style of them, so I'm glad to be able to make them for him. So I'll move on now to talking about my second alteration project that I've been working on this week. I was kind of inspired to alter a second garment because I really enjoyed working on my Zadie dress actually. I hadn't expected to enjoy it so much, but I found it really satisfying to be able to make the changes and actually hopefully make it a lot more wearable. So yeah, even though I had to do a bit of unpicking, it was worth it. And it was really nice that I felt the adjustments worked out okay. So I thought I'd tackle another garment in my wardrobe that I'd sort of earmarked as being one that needed tweaking somehow. It's another garment that I really kind of loved and want to be able to wear. But when I wear it, it just doesn't feel right, or just didn't feel right. So I thought I'd have a look at it and figure out how I could change this one too. And it's another dress, but it's quite a different style of dress to the Zadie dress. This is the dress I made using this pattern here, which is the Cassiope dress pattern by I Am Patterns. So if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know this is a pattern I really love. It's one of my favourite woven dress patterns. I find it really comfy to wear and I really like the style of it. So it's designed for woven fabrics. It's got this raglan sleeve and a gathered skirt and this batwing feature, which I think is a really cute, interesting detail to the dress. And it sews up really nicely. The neckline is quite wide, so you can just pull it on over your head. There are no zips or fastenings on this one, so it's quite a speedy sew. And I just think it's quite a cute sort of smock style baby doll dress. In terms of sizing, I've got the paper pattern, which goes from a European 36 up to a 46, and the largest size on the paper pattern takes you up to a bust of just over 40 inches. But if you go on the I Am Patterns website, there's a slightly larger size range available in PDFs. It's worth checking that out. But yeah, I've made a few versions of this pattern, and I've always found it works really well in quite a drapey fabric. So I've made a couple of versions in viscose and one in a viscose twill, and yeah, they work really well. But the version I decided to alter this week, I decided to make in a less drapey and more slightly thicker fabric. And I'll show you this dress here. Here is my Cassiope dress that I've been altering this week. So this version I decided to make as a really wintry, cosy version in this baby cord fabric. I'll hold it up so you can see the kind of cord stripe on it. And this came from Minerva. I think this fabric is still in stock. I will link it down below. I can't remember the exact colour. I think it might have been like a bottle green or a dark green, but I'll check the colour and I'll mention that down below too in case you fancy having a look. I really like the Minerva baby cord range. It's lovely, soft, velvety baby cord, and I've used it for a few garments. I made a assembly line cuff top in the red, which is quite a cute Christmassy top, and I also made a Bakerloo dress in the royal blue colourway of this fabric. So I knew it made a nice dress because I made the Bakerloo dress before I made this Cassiope dress, but I thought it'd be fun to try the Cassiope dress in this fabric. So this is my Cassiope dress. I remember really enjoying sewing this one up. I added some Liberty bias binding around the neckline, which I thought was quite a pretty detail. I think, oh yeah, I had that in the pocket. I added pockets to this one because I don't think the dress comes with pockets, but I thought I'd add pockets too, and I used that same Liberty fabric, which I thought was really pretty colour and kind of went quite nicely with the dark green. And this version was a hacked version of the Cassiope. If you go on the I Am Patterns websites, there are quite a few ideas for hacking, and they sort of talk you through tutorials for how to hack them. So I followed the tutorial for hacking the back to add on buttons, which I thought was quite a cute feature. So I've got these little dark green buttons on the back. I do like a button down back. So yeah, this is my Cassiope dress, and when I made it I was really pleased with it, but I actually found when I went to wear it, it just felt a little bit too big on me. So I've always gone for the smallest size on the paper pattern when I've made up the Cassiope dress, which is the size European 36. I'll just find the measurements in inches. They've got, the pattern has the French and the English instructions included, and for the French instructions they use centimetres, and for the English they use inches. So anyway, this is here are the instructions, here are the sizes in inches. So the size 36 in inches is designed for my measurement on the bust, 32 inches. Then it's designed for waist and hips of slightly smaller than me. But I've always found this dress is designed to be quite oversized, and that size worked well for me. And there was still plenty of room at the waist and the hips, even though it was designed for slightly smaller measurements than me. So I made that size up again. It's the smallest size I had for this corduroy fabric, but I think as the fabric has less drape and is slightly stiffer, it just felt too big on me. And I guess maybe with the gathering as well at the waist, it created more volume because it wouldn't gather as wouldn't pull in as much like a sort of more delicate lightweight fabric would. So it just felt when I wore it just too big really. So I thought, I really love it. I'm sure there's something I can do to maybe bring it in. So what I decided to do was I unpicked, because you sew the bodice together and then add the skirt. So I unpicked the skirt from the bodice, and then I basically took the bodice in quite a lot. So I kind of adjusted the shape here and brought in the side seams. I think I took in by about 1.5 inches at each side. So I did bring it in quite a lot there, just to make a slightly narrower bodice. And then I tried adding the skirt back on as it was, and without taking the skirting, because I thought, oh, that'd be better, because then I wouldn't have to sort of chop off a side of the skirt and have to do something with one of those pockets. But I found when I added the skirt back on, I just sort of basted it on. There was so much gathering and so much volume, the skirt was too big for the revised top. So I knew I'd need to take a bit of width off the skirt too, to match the slightly brought in bodice. So that took a bit of time, because I had to unpick the pocket from one of the sides, because I wanted to kind of keep the pockets on both sides. So I unpicked the pockets, then I took off, I think I took off about maybe 3 or 4 inches in the end, all down the side of one skirt, and then I re-added on the pocket to the revised side seam, and then I sort of gathered it back in and tested again by basting onto the dress. And I found by taking off quite a lot of that extra width of the skirt, it didn't end up too gathered and too voluminous around the middle there. So my altered Cassiope dress has basically involved quite a lot of taking in both at the side seams of the bodice and also the skirt. And I think it just works much better brought in like that in this fabric. I guess it's really interesting to see how much a fabric can affect the look of a garment, because the size has been absolutely fine when I've made it in a lightweight viscose, but just in this corduroy fabric, even though it is a baby cord and it's a lightweight corduroy fabric, it was just that little bit too bulky for that dress as it was. So I'm really glad I've made those alterations. I think it works much better now, and I like the amount of gathering here. It's definitely got an even, and there was enough fabric there to give a nice even gather, but equally it's not too bulky and doesn't make it feel too voluminous again. So yeah, I'm really happy I made those adjustments. It did take a bit of time, particularly because I'd overlocked all the seams to stop them fraying. So when I was unpicking this seam here, I had to unpick all the overlocking thread as well as the actual straight stitch. I guess I could have just trimmed off the fabric just above the overlocking thread, but I wanted to preserve the length as much as possible because it does sit fairly high, this seam, and I didn't want to bring it any higher. I quite like the height it sits already, so it was worth spending the time. I did the overlocking unpicking in front of the TV one evening, and it was quite relaxing, just not rushing at it and just taking it slowly and trying to clear up all the little bits of overlocker thread into pots so they didn't get all over the sofa as well. So yeah, I'm glad I made those alterations, and again, I'll try and put a picture up of how the dress looked like before I made the alterations, and then I need to get a picture today so I can show you what it looks like now. There's not a huge amount of difference, I guess, in how it looks on. It just feels much better. It feels that little bit more neat on me rather than feeling too oversized when I'm wearing it. So again, I'm glad I made those alterations, and actually it was more fun than I expected, kind of figuring out how to do it. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is a new sewing project that I started this week. This is a garment I'm making for myself, and I talked a bit about my plans for this garment in my last week's video, and I also shared a toile I'd made up of it. I'll link that video above in case you haven't seen that one. And this week I've actually cut my proper fabric out and got sewing, and I'm really excited to have this garment sewn up. And it is a pair of trousers, which is quite unusual for me because I don't tend to sew a lot of trousers, just because I don't generally tend to wear a lot of trousers other than jeans, which I do wear quite a lot. But I did try sewing jeans quite a while ago and I didn't really enjoy the whole process, so I generally tend to buy my jeans. But I thought I'd really fancied having these trousers in my wardrobe, and I've been thinking about them for a while, so it's nice to be finally sewing them up. And they're the trousers from this pattern here, which is the Friday Pattern Co Saguaro set, which has been a really popular pattern, particularly last summer. It is quite a summery pattern, as you can probably see. So it's got this top with kind of like a deep V-neck and a grown-on sleeve, and then it's got elastic at the bottom of the top here. And then these cute wide-legged elasticated pants that have also got a little tie on them and a little pocket you add in. And the pocket is sewn into the waistband, which I always think is quite nice with a pair of trousers you might make in a lighter weight fabric, so they don't sort of sag down too much and they kind of hold their shape. So I've been wanting to make a pair of these trousers ahead of going on holiday this summer, because I thought they'd be a really handy thing to have to wear in the evenings particularly, and team with different tops. And I have made a saguaro top in a leopard print fabric that I thought these trousers would go nicely with too. So yeah, here are my trousers, how they're coming together. I'm making them in this really lovely viscose linen blend fabric that I got from Guthrie Garni. I think it's 75% viscose and 25% linen, so it's got lovely drape to it, but it's a bit more substantial than, say, a viscose challis. And it feels really nice to wear. It's a lovely soft fabric. I think they've got it available in quite a few colours. I'll link it down below. As you can see, I've been making good progress on the trousers. I've got the waistband all sorted and sewn up, and I've added the tie. You don't have to add the tie, but I think it's quite a cute little feature. And the pockets are in too. They're quite nice, roomy pockets. And as I said, they're attached into the waistband, so they really do hold their shape, which is nice. And here are the pants. At the moment, as you can see, I haven't hemmed them. That is pretty much all I've got left to do. So I started sewing these a couple of days ago. I've been working on them a little bit here and there. They've actually come together really fast. I just need to decide on the length now. I actually lengthened the pattern by a few inches because it looked like it came up as sort of ankle length. And I'm 5'6", and I tend to sometimes feel like I'm a bit taller than some patterns. So I thought I'd add a bit of length for my height and then a bit more in case I wanted to make them more down to the ground. But having tried them on, I think I might actually cut them back up again and make them ankle length. I think having sort of played around with the length a little bit, I think I might prefer them a little bit shorter. Otherwise, I think there might be too much in the blacken because they're quite wide-legged to have them all the way down to the ground. I'm not sure. I need to make a final decision. I think it's a bit cold to try them on today, so it might be one for another day when it warms up a little bit, and I can make that final decision, and then I'll be able to show you some pictures of what they look like on. But they sewed up really nicely. And in terms of sizing, I've gone for the size medium, which is one size up on my measurements, because when I made the toile, I found I wasn't getting much gathering around the waist here. And I actually really like how much gathering there is in the medium, because I've had the waist elastic, obviously, to bring it to my waist size. And I think there's quite a nice amount of gathering there now. They're not really gathered, but equally it's not too sparse. So yeah, and also I compared the actual width of the trouser leg and the size medium to another pair of trousers I've sewn, which is the Sophia trousers by Tealing the Buttons from the Make It Simple book. And I found there wasn't too much difference in how wide they were, and I was fairly comfortable with that width on the Sophia trousers, so I thought I'd just go for it and hopefully they won't turn out too big. So yeah, they sewn up really nicely. I'm really looking forward to finishing them, and once I finish them I'll get some photographs so you can see what they look like on. But yeah, it's lovely fabric, and I think they'll be a real staple in my summer wardrobe. So that's everything that I've got to share in this week's video. So I hope you've enjoyed hearing about what I've been sewing this week. I actually really enjoyed those 2 alteration projects, and I'm definitely going to have a look at the other garments I've earmarked as maybe not working quite as well as they could, and think about how I can maybe adjust them while I'm on a bit of a roll on the alterations front. And I'm really looking forward to finishing off my saguaro trousers and also those joggers for my son too. So if you've enjoyed this video, then please do give it a thumbs up. It helps get the video out there for more people to see, which would be really lovely. And if you're new to my channel, then please do subscribe and also press the bell icon so that you'll then be notified when I bring my future videos out. So thank you so much for watching as ever. I hope you're having a good day, whatever the weather is where you are. The snow stopped here now, it's turned to rain, so I don't think it will last on the ground much longer, but we shall see. Thanks again for watching, and I'll hopefully see you for another video again soon. Bye!